Mandel non-Agence France Presse via Getty Images on Twitter. The president twice in the past 4 days has singled out Germany as facing an increase in crime. Crime in Germany is up 10%, plus officials do not want to report these crimes since migrants were accepted, President Trump claimed. Others countries are even worse. Be smart, America. In fact, the opposite is true. By Ashley Parker, Washington Post. He's done it on Twitter. He's done it in the White House driveway. And he's done it in a speech to a business group. President Donald Trump, a man already known for trafficking in mistruths and even outright lies, has been outdoing even himself with falsehoods in recent days, repeating and amplifying bogus claims on several of the most pressing controversies facing his presidency. Start your day with the news you need from the Bay Area and beyond. Sign up for our Morning Report weekday newsletter. Since Saturday, Trump has tweeted false or misleading information at least 7 times on the topic of immigration and at least 6 times on a Justice Department Inspector General report into the FBI's handling of its investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server. That's more than a dozen obfuscations on just 2 central topics, a figure that does not include other falsehoods on other issues, whether in tweets or public remarks. The spate of false claims come as the president, emboldened by fewer disciplinarians inside the West Wing, indulges in frequent Twitter screeds. A Washington Post analysis found that in June, Trump is tweeting at the fastest rate of his presidency so far, an average of 11.3 messages per day. Inside the White House, aides and advisors say they believe the media is unwilling to give Trump a fair shot, and is knee-jerk ready to accuse him of lying, even in cases where the facts support his point. The president often seeks to paint a self-serving and self-affirming alternate reality for himself and his supporters. Disparaging the fake news media, Trump offers his own filter through which to view the world, offering a competing reality on issues ranging from relationships forged or broken at the Group of Seven summit in Canada, to the success of the Singapore summit with the North Koreans, to his administration's new zero-tolerance policy on immigration. It's extraordinary how he is completely indifferent to truth. There's just no relationship between his statements, anything he utters, and the actual truth of the matter, said Thomas Murray, President Emeritus of the Hastings Center, the founding institution in the field of bioethics. As far as I can tell, the best way to understand anything he says is what will best serve his interests in the moment. It's irrespective to any version of the truth. According to an analysis by the Washington Post fact-checker, through the end of May, Trump has made 3,251 false or misleading claims in 497 days, an average of 6.5 such claims per day of his presidency. And within the past week, Trump seems to have ramped up both the volume and intensity of his false statements on 2 of the most prominent topics currently bedeviling his administration: the hardline immigration policy that has led to the separation of thousands of children from their parents, which Trump erroneously blames on others, and the 500-page Inspector General report that he claims, incorrectly, exonerates him, and Special Counsel Robert Mueller's probe of Russian interference in the 2016 election. Bella DiPaolo, a psychology researcher at the University of California at Santa Barbara, said Trump's use of repetition is a particularly effective technique for persuading his supporters of the veracity of his false claims, in part because most people have a truth bias, or an initial inclination to accept what others say as true. When liars repeat the same lie over and over again, they can get even more of an advantage, at least among those who want to believe them or are not all that motivated either way. DiPaolo said in an email. So when people hear the same lies over and over again, especially when they want to believe those lies, a kind of new reality can be created. What they've heard starts to seem like it's just obvious, and not something that needs to be questioned. On immigration, Trump and many top administration officials have argued that existing U.S. laws and court rulings have given them no choice but to separate families trying to cross illegally into the United States. But it is the administration's decision, announced in April, to prosecute all southern border crossings that has led to the separation of families. That hasn't stopped the president from blaming Democrats for his own administration's decisions. Democrats are the problem, Trump wrote in one tweet. In another, he was even more blunt: the Democrats are forcing the breakup of families at the border with their horrible and cruel legislative agenda, he wrote. While Congress could pass a legislative fix, Republicans control both the House and the Senate, making it disingenuous at best to finger the opposing party, as the president has repeatedly done. Speaking to the National Federation of Independent Businesses on Tuesday, Trump again falsely painted the current humanitarian crisis as a binary choice. We can either release all illegal immigrant families and minors who show up at the border from Central America, or we can arrest the adults for the federal crime of illegal entry, he said. Those are the only two options. On Twitter, the president twice in the past 4 days has singled out Germany as facing an increase in crime. Crime in Germany is up 10%, plus officials do not want to report these crimes since migrants were accepted, Trump wrote. Others countries are even worse. Be smart, America. In fact, the opposite is true. Reported crime in Germany was actually down by 10% last year and, according to German Interior Minister Horst Seehofer, the country's reported crime rate last year was actually at its lowest point in 3 decades. The president has also falsely claimed that the Inspector General report exonerated him from Mueller's probe, when the report did not delve into the Russia investigation. When he made this argument Friday during an impromptu press gaggle in the White House driveway, a reporter pressed him on the falsehood. "Sir, that has nothing to do with collusion," the reporter said. "Why are you lying about it, sir?" Trump's messaging on the family separation issue has faced pushback even from members of his own party, who have publicly and privately urged him to fix the problem. And the discordant noise from members of his administration, who are contradicting him and one another, has further eroded his credibility on the issue. On a conference call Tuesday morning, for instance, a senior Health and Human Services official said the new policy was focused on deterrence and was working, contradicting the public comments of Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, who has publicly argued that family separation is not a policy, is not new and is not about deterrence. Brian Fallon, a press secretary for Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential bid, said he thinks the past week may mark an inflection point in how both the media and the public treat Trump's mistruths. The lies have been so bald and discernibly false, I think people have felt license to challenge him and use the word lie more freely than they have in past, Fallon said. The topic of family separation, Fallon added, is especially stark. I think the sort of visceral nature of this particular issue, in terms of the sympathy that these young kids have evoked, has caused a splintering within his own party, Fallon said. Once you have a critical mass of defections among your own side, at that point, it becomes unsustainable even for somebody who has patented this approach to lying like Trump has. Sponsored content. What's view through, and why should you track it? By if your digital ad campaign generates the same click-through rates as the average campaign, then more than 99% of people who see your ad. You might also like why you should apply for the HSBC Advance Credit Card. HSBC Bank suffering from the heat. Try AirCool. NewThingsToday.com need to print something from your smartphone right. Hardware Zone. Liverpool the envy of their rivals with Klopp stability. ESPN soccer industry relevant business degrees at SIM part-time. Full-time degree programs.